عصف الأنين بداخلي كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر وكم كرهت مصابها لكن رأيت الخير يسكب في أنا كم مرة قد ضقت من عظم الباب.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I have just returned from work, so I'm still in my work gear for work clothing, and the reason why I haven't changed is to show brothers and sisters that dressing up like the people of knowledge with the bisht and the shamakh, and it doesn't mean that you're a person of knowledge. And the reason why I've highlighted that is because there is a da'i, and that's as far as his credentials go. Again, he claims he has a master's in hadith and whatnot. Let's just play that video.
I have a master's degree in hadith.
My bachelor's and master's together there in Islamic studies. So I graduated from the Islamic University of Islamabad with a master's focused in hadith.
So you see Uthman Khan, that's his real name by the way, Uthman bin Farooq, Naib al-Farooq, dressed in the full scholarly robes, looking the business. And once again, he claims to have a master's degree in hadith. I don't want to go over his poor recitation of the Quran, not even hifz. I'm talking nadara, like looking in the mushaf. It's poor. Even Juz Amma. I'll be surprised if he's memorized all of Juz Amma. Wallah al-Azim. But anyway, even Faris al-Hamadi did a video about 50 minutes, discussing his violations, and part of it, brothers obviously gave me the timestamp that he's discussing his Quranic mistakes and even, reading books of fiqh or whatnot. And some brothers have sent me tweets where he's struggling to read the titles of the books that he has in his library. So I'll leave that to one side, right? And again, my name is Bro Haji, not Ustad Bro Haji, not Shaykh Bro Haji. So when you claim to have a master's degree in hadith, there's a certain caliber that we expect you to have. And unfortunately, that claim of having a master's degree in hadith is questionable, to say the least. Not because you're claiming it based on your own, reading and your own recitation. And especially in Pakistan, like I know teachers of mine that have graduated from Binoritan in Karachi, and let me tell you something, these are firm students of knowledge. If not those who have graduated from those institutes, they are proficient. Anyway, recently Uthman bin Farooq or Uthman Khan was discussing the virtues of the people of Yemen, and it was I think it was in Umrah, and he had Sneeko or whatever his name is, and he had some questions regarding the people of Yemen. Now, what I want to show you is, my name is what? Well, my name is Muhammad Naeem Safta, that's my actual name. And I'm known as Bro Haji, a grade below a student of knowledge. I'll put that out there, right? But what I can tell you now is that this brother isn't doing this research himself. I can assure you. Because why? When he responds, because people pulled him up on him, he mentioned that Sa'id ibn Musayyib rahmatullah alayhi did not meet Abi Hurairah. It could be a slip of the tongue. But what I'm showing you now is, he is an overzealous Salafi, especially al-Hadith. Those from the subcontinent will know what I'm talking about. Overzealous. I will demonstrate in this video, a grade below a student of knowledge will break down and dissect and show you how weak the knowledge of a person who has a master's in hadith. Let's listen to Uthman Khan.
In Umrah, in the last 10 nights, I was with Sneeko, and there was a hadith that he was discussing, which is the best of the men of Yemen. Regarding this hadith, I was explaining it to him. A lot of haters tried to jump on it, saying I was lying to him, I was nonsense. I'm going to explain it. The hadith that we were discussing with him is a report from Abdullah ibn Muhammad, from Salama ibn Shu'ayb, from Abdul Razak, who said I was reported from Thawr ibn Yazid, from Khalid ibn Ma'dan, from Mu'adh ibn Jabal, Khair al-Rijal, Rijal Yemen, and then I continued, Imanu Yamanin wa Hikmah Yamaniya. So this hadith, with this addition that the best men of the men of Yemen is weak. Why is it weak? Because Khalid ibn Ma'dan did not hear from Mu'adh ibn Jabal. There is a break in qita' here. And this is something pointed out by Ibn Abi Hatim. Khalid ibn Ma'dan did not hear from Mu'adh ibn Jabal. and those hadith al-mursal, lam yasma' minhu, ربما كان بينهما اثنان. He said sometimes there would be two narrators between them. Al-Dhahabi said the same thing. And Al-Haythami said Khalid ibn Ma'dan lam yasma' min Ma'al. Now we were out in Umrah in the last 10 nights. We had less than 2 hours sleep in 2 days. We'd just done the Umrah. And I was asked this question right off the top of my head. But I knew there was a break in this chain and this is not authentic. And I pointed that out. But I had a slip of tongue. I mentioned Sa'id al-Musayyib from Abu Hurairah, which is the authentic narration from Sahih Muslim, which is reported from Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib from Abu Hurairah that he heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-Iman Yamanin wal-Hikmah to Yamaniya," where Iman, faith, is from Yemen and wisdom is from Yemen. Now this is to praise the people of Yemen and their strong faith and their wisdom, but it has nothing to do with them being the best of men. That addition is weak. Even when it's reported from Bukhari radiallahu anhu, it is weaker than the authentic narration from Sahih Muslim. That's what I was pointing out to Sneeko. Even though from the top of my memory, with no sleep, while traveling live, I did mention this correctly, that there is a break, slip of tongue. I mentioned Sayyid al-Musayyib from Bukhari instead of Khalid ibn Ma'adan from Mu'adh ibn Jabal. But the point is correct. So all you haters that try to jump on it, you're just haters. Quote in front of Allah.
So you heard Usman Khan. He's had enough sleep, I'm sure. He's not traveling. He's come back from Umrah. He's had enough time to carry out the research, provide a full academic breakdown. He's got a master in the hadith, right? A great bit of student of knowledge, wouldn't be able to access the sources and break down this particular hadith in a manner that Usman Khan should, right? Because he's got a master in the hadith. So, no excuses. No excuses, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to show you that Usman Khan doesn't do the research himself. And if he does, then it's an embarrassment for a great below student of knowledge to bring all the different chains together, to show you also, which is a karitha, that when he quoted the hadith in Tabarani, he quoted it wrong, because he added part of the hadith, which is even in there. Number two, the context of the hadith, he hasn't provided. He hasn't provided at all, because once I provide the breakdown of the hadith, in totality, he will show you that there was a reason why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned what he mentioned, because it is to do with the qaba'il of the Arab, right? Again, he just broke, whoever was helping him, poor, right? No context. I'm sure he subscribes to the al-Hadith movement, the Indo-Pak strand of Salafiyah. But even if he's not, he's a Salafi, right? Haraki, he's a quote-unquote card-carrying member within Salafi. As you know, these overzealous Salafi. He's overzealous. He's massive hadith is questionable, I'll tell you that for a fact. Anyway, so, do you know that, and he doesn't, and your team should know, but they were rushing it, trying to make you feel good or clear your name for the slip up. Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah alayhi authenticates this hadith. Now, shall I tell you something? This is why your research is poor. There's different chains to this particular hadith that doesn't have the questionable narrator. I think is Khalid bin Ma'dan, I think his name was. It doesn't have him in the chain. And Shaykh al-Albani authenticates it. Number two, as I mentioned before, you even quoted the hadith wrong from Tabarani, because you added a passage in there which wasn't even in the hadith. I'm going to show you from the actual book. This is the difference between me and you. I am humble enough to say I'm a grade below a student of knowledge, which I am. It's not even humble. It's not even humility. It's fact. But you're saying you have a master in the hadith and you can't even do adequate research. Let me stop waffling now. Let me stop my monologue. Let me present it. As you can see on screen, we've got the book, Silsilatul Ahadith al-Sahiha, and this is by Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah alayh. Now let me, a grade below a student of knowledge, present the full hadith. One day the Prophet was inspecting some horses, and he was with this Uyayna bin Hisn bin Badr al-Fazari. And the Prophet said to him, he goes, I am the most knowledgeable in horses, meaning I know about horses. So then Uyayna responded by saying, no, I'm more knowledgeable in horses. So the Prophet said, well, kayfa dhaka? And he responded by saying, khayrul rijali rijalun yahmiluna suyufahum ala awatiqihim. So the best are those, or the best men are those who carry their sword on their shoulders, and they place their spears, right, on the side, and they wear like a garment, right? They wear like a garment. It's called burud, okay? From the people of Najd. Pay attention to Usman Khan with the arrows over. He mentions, kadabta, you have lied. Khairul rijali, rijalu al Yemen. That the best of men are the men in Yemen. And Iman is Yemeni, meaning the characteristic that they have in Iman is Yemeni. To lakham, two Judham, wa Amila, etc. Promote is better than Banu al-Harith. And one tribe is better than the other. So he's talking about the Arabian tribes. And the Prophet ﷺ said, I cursed Quraysh twice, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded me to pray for them, etc. etc. Shaykh al-Albani in the next page, this is volume 6, page 208. The hadith is in 207. So in 207, the hadith is presented. He didn't provide the chain of narrators, nor did he provide where the masdar or the masadir is. In this page, 208, he mentions that this is from Imam Ahmad's book. And he presents the full chain of narrators. Now you notice, right, Khalid bin Ma'dan is not here. Have a look. It's not here. This is from Amr bin Abasa as-Sulami. Okay? Qultu. Now Shaykh al-Albani is commenting on the authenticity of this hadith now. Pay attention, Usman Khan, right? You got a master's degree in hadith, your team around you, because I know it ain't you. Poor research. Didn't provide no context to the hadith, even quoting the hadith wrong, right? Because it doesn't mention wal hikmatu yamaniya, right? Doesn't mention that in this hadith at all. We're going to go to Tabarani as well, because you mentioned Tabarani. I'm going to play your video back. So, وهذا إسناد صحيح. This isnad is sahih. And all of the men are thiqat. They are what? Thiqat. So below, Shaykh al-Albani provides another chain of narrators. And he presents a hadith, which is a mukhtasar. Okay? Without the statement that my Lord ordered me to curse Quraysh. In the other hadith he mentions it. And he mentions these, the men are, or the men are authentic in this narration as well. And then now going now to the original primary source, Imam Ahmad's Musnad. As you can see on screen, we've got Musnadu al-Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. And here's the chain of narrators, as you can see. You can see it here. Mughira, Abu Mughira, then you got Safwan bin Amru, you got Shuraih bin Ubaid, and then you've got Abdul Rahman bin A'id al-Azdi, and then you've got an Amr bin Asaba as-Sulami. Okay? As-Sulami. And then he presents the hadith. That even when you go to the hadith of Imam Ahmad, even the muhaqqiq of this book, Shaykh Shu'aib Arnaout, rahmatullah alayh, he also says that this chain is authentic. He said isnadul sahih, which doesn't have Khalid bin Ma'dan. And he mentions that, as you can see, it says kadabta bal khayr rijali rijalu al-Yemen wal imanu al-Yamanin ila lakhmin wa judham. Where's the addition that you added? And again, we're going to get to Tabarani, don't worry about it. But you added, again, poor research, that it mentions wal hikmatu yamaniya in the hadith regarding Khalid bin Ma'dan. And we're going to show you, even with the Khalid bin Ma'dan in Tabarani and in Mujma' al-Zawaid, it doesn't have that addition. There's a hadith that mentions the shar of Arabian tribes, just to show you the connection to that hadith, which Usman Khan, the masters in hadith, didn't tell you. Just to present some context, right? Because that original hadith talks about their different tribes, the Prophet ﷺ curses a few, and whatnot. So as you can see here, we've got hadith number 19,442, and he mentions, this is also narrated by Amr bin Abasa al-Sulami. It says, the Prophet ﷺ says, شَرُّ قَبِيلَتَيْن فِي الْعَرَبِ نَجْرَانُ وَبَنُو تَغْلِبْ وَبَنُو تَغْلِبْ. And it's got number 2 next to it, and Shu'aib al-Arnaout mentions that Sahih. وَهَذا إِسْنَاد Hasan. Okay? It says هَذا إِسْنَاد Hasan. You could check it yourself. So come back to me now. So, Usman Khan, you said the haters are going to hate. You have a master's in hadith. I'm a grade below student in knowledge. Why is it that you weren't able to present the full hadith? Why was it that you wouldn't even go do adequate research to get the tahqiq of Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah alayh in Silsilatul al-Hadith al-Sahiha, where he authenticates this hadith, right? Shaykh Shu'aib al-Arnaout authenticates this hadith. You have said that it's inauthentic because of Khalid bin Ma'dan. We're going to get to Khalid bin Ma'dan. I'm not denying it. But why didn't you do adequate research and combine the evidences? Because you are an ignoramus, mate. With all due respect, I'm dressed in a shirt and trousers, right? I don't want to show you my trousers, I've got nice trousers on. And like I said, I'm a grade below a student of knowledge. I'm not even a sheikh or an ustad, right? your Shaykh, apparently, who has a master's in hadith. I know I've studied with brothers who have graduated from the Islamic University of Medina, from the Kulliyat al-Da'wah, right? From the Kulliyat al-Da'wah. And they've got tons more knowledge than you, mate. I know that you even, right, plagiarized the book Amama and you got brothers from Lahore to write it. Don't think I don't know. You're a fraud. You're an overzealous Salafi. You're a fraud. Now, you might argue now, well, okay, I present the hadith of Khalid bin Ma'adan. I know you did. No one said you didn't. Well, I'm going to present that from the actual primary source, from the masdar itself, not written on a board. You understand? Because you've got a team around you, and even your team are incompetent. Anyway, let me show you the hadith to show you that. Oh, let me present your video first, because you even quoted the mutton wrong.
In Umrah, in the last 10 nights of Husni go, and there was a hadith that he was discussing, which is the best of the men of Yemen. Regarding this hadith, I was explaining it to him. A lot of haters started to jump on it, saying I was lying to him, I was nonsense. I'm going to explain it. The hadith that we were discussing with him is a report from Abdullah bin Muhammad, from Salama ibn Shu'ayb, from Abdul Razak, who said, I was reported from Thawr ibn Yazid, from Khalid ibn Ma'adan, from Mu'ad ibn Jabal, Khair al-Rijal, Rijal Yemen, and then I continued, Imanu Yamanin wa Hikmah Yamaniya. So this hadith, with this addition that the best men of the men of Yemen is weak. Why is it weak? Because Khalid ibn Ma'adan did not hear from Mu'ad ibn Jabal. There is a break in qita' here. And this is something pointed out by Ibn Abi Hatim. Khalid ibn Ma'adan did not hear from Mu'ad ibn Jabal. And those Sahih al-Mursal, lam yasma' minhu. ربما كان بينهما اثنان. He said sometimes there would be two narrators between them. Al-Dhahabi said the same thing. And Al-Haythami said, Khalid ibn Ma'adan lam yasma' min Mu'ad. Now we were out in Umrah in the last 10 nights. We had less than 2 hours sleep in 2 days. With this done the Umrah. And I was asked this question right off the top of my head. But I knew there was a break in his chain and this is not authentic. And I pointed that out.
Uthman Khan, he presented the chain narrators and then he presented the actual text, the matan. And he mentioned the best of men are the men of Yemen. And then he mentioned wal hikmatu yamaniya. Okay. And then on the top left, he mentioned at-Tabarani wal Hakim. This Jahil, along with his team, the Juhala, the matan of those two books of hadith doesn't even have that. And I'm going to present the primary source. So don't worry about the channel narrators. We've already covered Shaykh al-Albani authenticated it, and Shaykh Shu'aib al-Arnaout, rahmatullah alayhima, both of them authenticated the different chain without Khalid bin Ma'adan. Let's go into this hadith now. The hadith. The channel narrators we're going to get to as well, don't worry. So as you can see on screen, we got Mu'jam al-Kabir of Imam al-Tabarani. This is in al-Tabarani, Mu'jam al-Kabir. So here's the chain of narrators. Exactly what Uthman Khan mentioned, right? Here you go. As you can see. Now look. Here's the chain. Here's the button now. We've read the chain. The chain is as Uthman Khan mentioned. The one we've got a master in the hadith. So as you can see with the arrows over, he mentions, Kadabta, you have lied. As in Imam Ahmed's Musnad, and as what Shaykh al-Albani, the best of men are the men from Dhil Yemen. Okay, so the wording is slightly different. And then he mentions Al-Imanu Yamanin. And then he mentions, and the majority of the Qabila, see, it's about the tribe, the Arabian tribe, the majority of the tribes are in Jannah, meaning the Arabian tribe. And this is the offshoot of the Arabian tribe. It's Madhij, right? Basically, a Qabila Arabiya, a big tribe, and they're from the Qahtaniya, okay? So they're going to be Jannah and whatnot. Where does it mention, Ya Uthman Khan, Ya Masters in Hadith, wal hikmatu yamaniya in this? Where does it mention it? Where does it mention it? Show me. Where does it mention it? It doesn't mention it at all. Now what I'll do is show you, okay? We're going to go to Mujma' al-Zawaid as well, don't worry about it. 979, we've got the matan, okay? Because remember, he put the matan on the board. Ya Jahil. Haters going to hate. You're a Jahil. Master in Hadith. What Master in Hadith? A grade below a student of knowledge is presenting you the primary source. Can't even recite Quran. Can't even read the titles of the book. You know, Allahu Musta'an. Anyway, so as you can see, we got here. Leave the matan, because as I said, there's a different chain that has other narrators that doesn't include Khalid bin Ma'adan. So you were weakening this hadith because of Khalid bin Ma'adan. right? But as we know, there's different riwayat with different ruwat, should I say. And even the matter here, you've got it wrong. It clearly says that you have lied. The best of men are the men of Yemen, and Iman is Yemeni because of their characteristic khisal, because of their virtues. And he mentions to all the places in Yemen. Where does it say Wal-Hikmatu Yamaniya? So as you can see on screen, we've got Majmu' al-Zawaid, and as you can see, we've got the narration first, okay, first of Amr bin Abasa. And as you can see, it doesn't mention, as you can, right in front of you, كذبت بل هم أهل اليمن الإيمان اليمان إلى لخم وجضام وعميلة, etc. It doesn't mention والحكمة يمانية. That's in Sahih Muslim, right? That's in Sahih Muslim. And then you got the one that you presented at the end as well. Oh, sorry, I forgot to add. You mentioned that Tabarani narrates from his Shaykh, and Nahabi says حمل عنه الناس وهو مقارب الحال. And then he mentioned that Nasa'i said that he's da'if, okay, and the rest of the men are sahih. But then Imam al-Haythami mentions, which you didn't add, that it's been narrated with similar isnad, with other isnad or similar isnad, which are good from other sheikhs, okay, other sheikhs. And then he mentions the hadith of Mu'adh bin Jabal. And just to clarify, he doesn't mention that what you mentioned, especially with the hadith of Khalid bin Ma'dan. He mentions بل كتبت بل خير الرجال رجال اليمن الإيمان جمال وأكثر قبيلة في الجنة مضحج. And he doesn't mention والحكمة اليمانية جاهل. And then he mentions, as he said, رواية الطبراني the رجال الثقات except خالد بن معدان لم يسمع بالمعاذ. Okay, لم يسمع بالمعاذ. And then you've got مسند الشاميين, and then you've got a different narration, a different what's called chain of narrators, as you can see, and he mentions the same thing, but he doesn't mention, as you mentioned, والحكمة يمانية, as you can see. Okay, so come back to me now. So as you can see, Uthman or Usman Khan once again shows that he's an utter ignoramus, or his team is not providing you the correct information. A grade below a student of knowledge has to come and correct you. And once again, your Masjid al-Hadith is questionable. You're an overzealous Salafi. You have no grounding in ilm. I assure you, this Masjid al-Hadith is an utter joke. If you had a Masjid al-Hadith, mate, honestly, your Quranic recitation would be on par. Your reading would be on par. Mine, as I said, needs improving. As I always say this, I'm a great below student of knowledge. I don't go and blow my own trumpet and to claim something that I've got, which I haven't. And as I said, you might claim you might have a Masjid al-Hadith, but based on your reading and based on the way you carry yourself and the blunders that you make, even the book, the title of the books you get wrong. Again, I no offense, I could be excused. No offense. If I make a mistake like that, I could be excused, right? But you can't, because you got a Masjid al-Hadith. There's no way a Masjid al-Hadith can make. But I think it was one Twitter account. I think in one video you got like, I think 80% of the books, the title of the books wrong. That's aib. As you can see on screen, we've got Sahih Muslim, and we've got the hadith that Uthman Khan or Usman Khan mentioned about the people of Yemen. They have tender hearts and whatnot. The people of Yemen have come, and then he mentions, as you can see, that the wal-hikmatu yamaniya, and it mentions the full hadith. Okay, so that's in Sahih Muslim. So come back to me now. So it just proves once again that this overzealous Salafi, Usman Khan, thought he had the haters push back because he was in Yemen and he was tired and he only had 2 hours sleep. How much sleep did you have now? You couldn't carry the adequate research. What made you get the video out? I say you got a team around you. You didn't do this yourself, right? You didn't do this yourself. And like I say this now, I did this myself, right? It was easy. If you got access to the sources, and walillahi alhamdulillah, subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me that fadl that I've got access to the sources, and you have a Masjid al-Hadith and you couldn't get Shaykh al-Albani's silsilatul hadith al-sahiha, and look at the different ruwat and the different channel narrators. Obviously, he tried to deny the hadith because you know, limited sleep. You didn't have limited sleep now, did you? Okay? And the hate is gonna hate. Behave yourself, mate. Like I said, your Masjid al-Hadith. Don't worry, what I'm gonna do, watch me. I'll get a Masjid al-Hadith with my name on it. Watch me. Watch me. I'm gonna show you as well. It's easy to get in Pakistan. Trust me. And I'll do it. And I'll show you. Then what would you say then? It just shows, you don't even, look, I don't even need to do this in order to prove my point. I could just tell the way you make your blunders. I could just tell. There's no need for me to go through those lessons. But I could just show the proof in the pudding that getting things from Pakistani is not as difficult as you think. So take care of yourselves. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني تمر ساعة